67. Seemingly distressed. I call bullshit. You do not seem like the type to waste resources like this. Tell me, how do you consume the pure yang flower? Elder Zhao said. He knew that Su Yang was trying to hide his secret, but the patriarch had ordered him to figure out his secret so that he too could consume the pure yang flower. I have already told you everything you wanted to know. I only consumed a tiny amount and threw the rest away, as I had a change of heart after tasting it once. Even though I'd only tasted a little bit, the troubles that came afterward is just too much. I do not ever want to experience something like that again. Su Yang sighed in an earnest voice. What happened? Elder Zhao asked out of curiosity. Su Yang then patted his crotch and said, just that tiny amount had forced my thing to stand up like a stiff rod for many days without rest, to the point where I was fearful that it might explode from the endless blood flow. It was a torturous experience that is still haunting me right now. After listening to his story that would frighten even the toughest of man, Elder Zhao asked with his forehead full of sweat, how do you manage to make it go away? By relieving myself, obviously, but even that took days of effort before it started showing any real results. By now, Elder Zhao's eyes were wide open with shock. Su Yang had to spend days relieving himself? Why didn't he just go find a partner to help him relieve his pain? I was aware that the pure yang flower had such side effects, but to think it'd be this severe. I apologize. Elder Zhao didn't know why he apologized to Su Yang, but it came out regardless. Perhaps he felt guilty for being the one to hand Su Yang the pure yang flower, or maybe because he forced him to remember unpleasant memories. As ridiculous as it sounds, it is the truth. I threw away the remaining pure yang flower out of anger and fear from what it had done to me. Su Yang said in solemnness, and he continued. Whether you believe it or not, that is not my problem. I have told you everything I know, so I will be taking my leave now. Just as Su Yang stood up and prepared to leave, Elder Zhao stopped him and asked, now that you are at the profound spirit realm, will you be taking the inner court disciple exam? Naturally, Su Yang replied as he stepped out of the room, leaving Elder Zhao to ponder about a few things. That rascal is really slick and mysterious. Not only was he able to act so calmly when in my presence, but he also had the guts to lie straight to my face. If only his surname wasn't Su, fuck. Elder Zhao cursed loudly, his face feeling an invisible heat, almost as though someone had recently slapped him in the face. To think that he'd allow a mere disciple to leave so easily after being taken as a fool, it felt worse than a slap in the face. Right after leaving the White Pearl Treasury, Su Yang traveled to the medicine hall, where he was warmly welcomed by the medical disciples there. Junior Apprentice Brother Su, it feels like it has been forever since I last saw you. Junior Apprentice Brother Su, where have you been for the past week? Do you have any idea how quiet it has been around the sect without your presence here? Su Yang was flooded by the sisters upon arrival. Everybody there seemed to want to speak with him, everyone except a single young lady, who was sitting in a corner and staring at them with an annoyed expression. Che, why'd he have to come back? I was just beginning to forget about him, too. The disciple named Xiao mumbled to herself, feeling irritated just from seeing Su Yang's face. I am here to see Elder Lan, is she here right now? Su Yang suddenly asked them. When he mentioned Elder Lan, the place there quickly became quiet. Ever since Master went to speak with the Patriarch, she has locked herself in her room and would refuse to come out. Su Yang raised his eyebrows upon hearing the news. What happened while he was away? Let me try speaking to her and I will see what I can do. Inside her room, Lan Liqing sat on her bed in the lotus position, silently cultivating. Ever since the talk she had with the Patriarch, there has been at least a dozen sect elders that had approached her with the intent to become partners. And since every sect elder within the sect was aware of her desire to remain alone, the unusual occurrence was most likely due to the Patriarch pulling a few strings from behind the scenes. However, Lan Liqing wasn't willing to allow herself to be pressured by the situation, so she decided to enter closed cultivation until a certain someone returns to the sect. Suddenly, the door to her locked room opened without any warning, causing Lan Liqing to snap open her eyes. Who dares? She stood up and grabbed the sword that was by the bed and faced the figure that slowly walked into the room, her heart beating erratically. However, when Lan Liqing saw the handsome face of the intruder, her eyes widened with surprise and joy. Is this how you greet your partner who has been gone for only a few days? Su Yang said with a smile as he walked into the room. Su Yang, you're back. Lan Liqing threw the sword to the side and directly jumped at him. Seeing her unexpected actions, Su Yang opened his arms and welcomed her beautiful figure into his embrace. When he hugged her, he instantly noticed the changes in her body. You have lost weight. Su Yang's voice was gentle when he spoke to Lan Liqing, yet inside his heart, there was a feeling of anger that was increasingly growing fiercer the more he realized the stress Lan Liqing had to experience while he was away. In order for her to have lost such a noticeable amount of weight, and in such a short time at that, she must have really been distressed about something. Tell me what is troubling you, and I will immediately deal with it, he said to her in a low and assuring voice.